In the year of 1257, a series of cataclysmic events unfolded across the globe, reshaping the world and casting a long shadow over human history. 1257 serves as a true ground zero for one of the most profound environmental calamities of the past millennium. The spark that ignited this global crisis was the colossal eruption of the Mount Samalas on the Indonesian island of Lombok. On a scale never before witnessed, with an estimated Volcanic Explosivity Index VEI of 7, the volcano unleashed a devastating blast of molten rock, ash and gas into the stratosphere. The immediate consequences were apocalyptic.
Scientists are finally able to name their primary suspect, the Samalas. The eruption led to 3 waves that submerged the Sumbawa coastline. But using a simulation, the scientists discover another tsunami of much greater scope. When it uses North Lombok as the location where the pyroclastic flows entered the sea, the simulation reveals that other waves would have devastated the coasts of Bali and of all surrounding islands for thousands of kilometers, likely taking many lives with them.
Greetings. This will be a video report and astrologue of the major volcanic eruption that took place, a supervolcanic eruption in 1257. This was a spectacular eruption, estimated to be greater than VEI 7, which is one of the most strongest on record. Now, this volcanic eruption was previously unknown, as the volcano itself completely destroyed itself, and what's left is the Barujari volcano just to the east. As we can see, from 1200 there were 3 massive sulfate spikes, one from the Tambora volcano of 1815, the Kuwait volcano, its eruption of 1458, and the previously unknown eruption of 1257 far superseded both of those major events. Now, I just produced a video on Mount Tambora and a potential future volcanic eruption based on the stations of Pluto and also the solar eclipse information marking the region closely, as it has a very strong symmetry with past eruptions, not only with the Samalas but also Mount Tambora eruption of 1815 sharing an interesting symmetry. So I thought I'd take an even closer look with this eruption in 1257 to find further symmetry and support for a future volcanic eruption for Mount Tambora. Now going to be using astrocartography and taking a closer look to what facilitated this major volcanic eruption in history, VEI 7. And with astrocartography we can see the planetary drivers that were in play that preceded this major event. Now going right back to 1241, now this is a good 16 years prior to the volcanic eruption. But we have a look, we have a perfect station of Uranus right across the volcano itself, the Samalas volcano. We see some very strong geometries. Saturn and Jupiter are at square aspect, which will be important shortly. And note that Uranus is connected perfectly at square aspect into both nodes. Now, another feature is that Mars is very close to Uranus, and this is very similar to what's occurring in 2026. So this is the first thing that caught my eye in 1241. We'll now progress forward to 1255, and this will be the smoking gun, the major planetary alignment of Jupiter and Saturn, their opposition taking place in between the Samalas volcano and the Tambora volcano, within 40 kilometres on both sides. So this is the smoking gun. We have a look, we have an important grand trine taking place in behind. We have Uranus, Pluto is connected into Jupiter, forming an unbelievable grand trine while we get this opposition. And there's another planetary alignment involved between Venus and Mercury on the same day. And we can see that the Sun is connected with the North Node. So there's a lot going on 2 years prior to this volcanic eruption, and this is definitely the smoking gun for this event. We're now looking at the exact date of this major volcanic eruption and take a look at what we have in the chart. This is on the 20th of March of 1257. We have 2 major planetary alignments in play. We can see that we have clearly Sun-Uranus about to form a perfect conjunction. Venus and Mars also in conjunction. But importantly, we have a look at the position of Sun and Uranus about to be perfect square into the lunar nodes. This is exactly what I showed in the previous frames. Uranus initially, as it's made its station on the volcano, and the Sun with the previous image just 2 years prior to the volcanic eruption was also connected into the node. So it's waited for the Sun to move into a perfect position at square aspect with the node, and then we get the release of this major volcanic eruption. Now it's important to document these major volcanic eruptions and major earthquakes in history, and we can look back with the documentation to find these patterns in order to look at future events to come using the same symmetry as we're finding with these past events. Now if we have a look at the Uranus position at the time of 1241, we can see it squaring into the node. And at the release time of the volcanic eruption, Uranus is moving into that position, and then we get the release of this major volcanic eruption. in the next few days it'll be squaring the node as well. So we can see a reconnection, a very obvious reconnection, and a 16-year delay can be explained by the slow moving position of Uranus moving back into the square position of the lunar node.
The Samalas is definitely the volcano responsible for the giant eruption of 1257. In the field, Jean-Christophe Komarovsky even found a wall that displays the entire eruption process.
From here on to about the top of this cliff is the 36-hour eruption sequence summarized. This brown layer here is the ground layer at the time of the eruption in 1257, where people were farming and living and walking.
In 1257, under massive pressure from the gas accumulated in its magma chamber, the Samalas exploded.
The first phase of the eruption is basically an intense rain of pumice for 6 to 7 hours from a very tall eruption plume, similar to the Pompeii eruption, but on a much, much larger scale. Then you notice here a second layer formed by a turbulent pyroclastic flow, an avalanche of incandescent fragments and gases, but very turbulent, perhaps 200, 300 kilometers per hour, sweeping down the flanks of the volcano, reaching this location at 25 kilometers from the volcano. And then we have the third phase of the eruption. Again, we get about 6 to 8 hours of continuous rain down of pumice fragments. And then we get the fourth phase, the final climactic phase of the eruption. You get such a high flux of material coming out that it cannot sustain the column, and the other phase, the volcano is collapsing on itself, and it continues to erupt for several hours, a sequence of these pyroclastic flows devastating the whole area.
It only took this enormous volcano a few hours to radically change the course of the world. And it was thanks to great persistence that scientists were able to solve one of the greatest mysteries our planet has ever known. The Samalas is now a part of history.
That concludes this short video and presentation regarding the Samalas volcano, the mystery volcanic eruption that was recently named. This is exclusive content for subscribers of the earthsignals.com website. Thanks for watching.